Good evening. It's 6 o'clock on April 20th, 2017. Welcome, and thank you for joining us tonight for the English edition of OR News, where we bring you today's top stories translated into English every weeknight. The second round for the selection of the new president was held today in a plenary session. No candidates were presented, and the third round is scheduled to be held on the upcoming Thursday at 3 o'clock. Assembly Speaker Rama and Meta spoke after the session, declaring that this time is enough to dialogue with the opposition, stating, "We insist on cooperation, dialogue, and consensus. We believe in a reflection from the opposition. We believe that the opposition wants a president elected with consensus. We hope the opposition participates in the elections." Regarding the request of the Socialist Party and the Socialist Movement for Integration, sent to the Central Election Commission, the Assembly Speaker declared that the postponement of the deadline to register the coalition for elections will give time to the Democratic Party and other opposition parties to become a part of the electoral process. The Assembly Speaker presented his judgment about early elections, considering them to be a non-constructive variant, adding, "Early elections are not a constructive or useful variant. We do not aim to go into early elections. We aim for the inclusion of the opposition in elections and in the process for elections of the new president." In today's plenary session, Prime Minister Rama declared that the government will not negotiate the mandate people have given, which ends on the day the new government will be created. Mr. Rama stated, "We do not negotiate the Constitution, which provides people the right to elect. We do not negotiate the mandate people have given us. All these efforts are being made to hit the government and the June 18th elections. These efforts aim to destabilize the country. I can assure you that only what the Constitution predicts will happen." The Prime Minister gave assurances that the coalition with the Socialist Movement for Integration will continue and expressed readiness to find compromise with the opposition. But according to him, voting for the vetting law should also be a part of their dialogue. Prime Minister Rama also commented on the request the Socialist Party and the Socialist Movement for Integration filed to the Central Election Commission to postpone the deadline for the registration of coalitions in the elections. The Prime Minister added that the only aim is to give time to the opposition to enter the elections, adding that there are no efforts to pressure the Central Election Commission, declaring, "We do not have any motive to register our coalition," closing the door to the Democratic Party. "We are here to confirm that we are not a party, but a coalition. We sent the request to take the Democratic Party out of the cul-de-sac. From the beginning, we have been committed to making an electoral reform according to the OSCE recommendations. Even though time is expiring, we are open to making any change to the electoral law which can relieve the opposition and can pave the way to enter the elections together. The Democratic Party can make any proposal for the electoral code, but there cannot be compromise without vetting. Let's go into elections together with vetting." Commenting on the rounds for the election of the new president, the Prime Minister said the rounds are an opportunity to give time to the opposition to be involved in the process, adding, "Again, we want to give a chance to the opposition. We want an impartial president. We want a president who will be able to sit with all political parties when the country needs it." Mr. Rama also guaranteed that the elections will be held on June 18th as predicted, rejecting any opportunity for their postponement. Speaking in today's plenary session, MP Blushi accused the Prime Minister and the Assembly Speaker of planning to take the country to early elections. According to Blushi, the SP and SMI requested to postpone the deadline for enrollment of coalitions in elections in order for the Prime Minister and the Socialist Movement for Integration Chairman to negotiate for another agreement between them to form the coalition. Assembly Speaker Rama and Meta responded to MP Blushi, declaring that the majority is giving time to the opposition to return to Parliament and to elect a president with consensus, declaring, "I will not comment on the procedures issues, but our will is to avoid a bigger crisis and to give an opportunity to the parties and coalitions to be part of the June 18th elections. Regarding the election of the new president, our aim was not to fail the rounds. We did not present candidates in order to show our will to cooperate with the opposition. Holding the elections together with the opposition is in the interest of everyone. MP Blushi also said that the country is going through a deep institutional crisis and destabilization is being risked. Prime Minister Edi Rama replied, saying that these statements are an expression of fear from a drowned man who wants everyone to drown with him. Former Albanian Prime Minister Sali Berisha spoke today from the protesters' tent, calling on all Democrats to continue their battle for free and fair elections, as, according to him, there is no other way out. Mr. Berisha considered the battle for free votes to be a saintly battle, which asks for sacrifices. The former Prime Minister added that the current Prime Minister, Edi Rama, would be better to commit suicide instead of resigning. I want to call on all Albanian people to continue with this path. No one wants stability more than we do. This is a mission for all of Albania. The battle is harsh. Edi Rama would be better to commit suicide rather than leave office. He will not leave, and neither is he listening to our voice. I want to make him a guarantee that we will make him listen to our voice, and he better listen to our voice in time. I wish that he would come to his senses and accept the solution we have offered. Nothing less than the freedom to vote. Making a comparison to the situation of Albania in 1990, Mr. Berisha declared that the country is now struggling against crime, which, according to him, has the support of the Prime Minister, stating, "I thought of the Albania of 1990, when we were fighting for a different Albania, the Albania of freedom and free votes. Today, we also have word two sides, the word of those who with great sacrifice are in the square for the future of their children, and then in front of us, we have the palaces of crime, drugs, and violation of votes." Earlier, the Democratic MP Edmund Spaho accused the government of being connected to drug gangs and denounced directors of public administration, who, according to him, are threatening the citizens to vote for the Socialist Party in the June 18th parliamentary elections. He emphasized that the only provisional government can remove the corrupt people who want to steal the elections. Albanian Foreign Minister Ditmir Bushati is on an official visit to Washington, D.C., where he held meetings with EU officials. The head of the Albanian diplomacy held a number of important meetings where he received support from judicial reform. He met with President Trump's Vice Counselor for National Security, K.T. McFarland. During the meeting, the parties discussed the consolidation of U.S.-Albania strategic partnership, especially in the areas of long-term interest for the security and well-being of both countries. In a statement to the Voice of America, Minister Bushati spoke in detail about his meeting with Mrs. McFarland, stating, "We discussed the relation between Albania and the U.S., as well as our joint commitment to several international fronts. We also talked about the support the U.S. has given to reforms, especially to the judicial reforms and security issues." Minister Bushati also added that the political developments in the country were not discussed in the meetings, clarifying, saying, "I received the best impressions in terms of the course Albania has been following in recent years and support for further progress. We did not discuss domestic developments in Albania because, according to the U.S. standpoints, these issues are addressed in other forums." Minister Bushati was also invited to a round table organized by the German Marshall Fund, where he categorically denied the existence of Tirana's platform for Macedonia. The foreign minister said considering an Albanian political statement as a platform is a mistake, adding that Albania does not interfere in Macedonia's internal issues, but only advises it in friendly terms. The chairman of Socialist Movement for Integration, Rama and Meta, held a meeting today with students from the city of Fier, studying in vocational secondary schools. The SMI leader said that this political force has a very special program for education called Learn and Win, which, according to him, aimed to convey the message to the youth that by learning they can have a dignified, well-paid job in the future, saying, "The SMI motto, Education for Employment, is very decisive and practical. Regarding the vocational education, the laboratory basis and necessary teaching environments, these are what need to be created. Only capable youth can do something for the future of the country for a new generation. The SMI will do everything to support the education of young people." The SMI Chairman also said that the education curriculum should be improved in accordance with labor market requirements, adding, "It is very important that we improve the curriculum in accordance with the requirements. We should add teaching practices to the workplace. It is important to put your knowledge into practice." The Secretary for Public Relations at the Socialist Movement for Integration, Irisa Gijo, said that as long as Albanian families have the education of their children as a priority, then the SMI will have education as a priority. That's all for our English edition this evening. Please join us again Monday through Saturday at 6 p.m. for your local news in English. My name is Cosmo, and on behalf of OR News, thank you and good night.